karma, law of karma, and karma yoga. So once we understand the karma and the karma yoga, we can transcend the law of karma from our life. The path is simple. Self-discovery is beyond the law of karma, beyond the cause and effect. It is the knowledge of subjective reality. We want to know who am I, real self, which is of the nature of peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. So that is our path. Our masters laid out the path clearly. Self-discovery, that is the goal of the Eastern wisdom. And we have to listen and learn from the teacher, followed by contemplation and reflection, followed by the practice. So once we start doing the practice, we start experiencing the change. If you are doing the practice mechanically, no change. So we are very clear about it. Mechanically means I'm doing karma. I'm not doing karma yoga. So the first result comes that your mind becomes very light, easy, relaxed. It is not running anywhere. Initially, before following this path, we were fully busy. But now no busyness is there. Everything is very well organized. So the result that we start getting by the journey of the Eastern wisdom is first is a sense of detachment comes. Whether you say detachment, indifference, dispassion, but that state of dispassion in the mind is full of joy. So that dispassion starts removing our delusion, wrong notion. And removing the wrong notion leads to steadiness of the mind. Steadiness of the mind gets absorbed completely, or you can say the mind merges into the real self. So once the journey is clear, we also find some changes in our behavior and attitude. That is very well spoken by one master, Vidya Dadati Vinayam. The knowledge gives a sense of receptivity, a kind of humility. Humility in our relationship, in our thought, in our speech, in our action. So that humility strengthens your inner qualification, a sense of calm. I believe that everything is becoming very calm, or I'm just speaking. So that inner qualifications, and the inner qualifications clearly indicates the path. You have a moment of insight, you have a moment of intuition. Previously, you were arguing with your honey, but a sense of insight comes. There is no need. No need. Calm down. Calm down. So normally people consider it's a kind of an inner voice or a lot of stuff. But that comes because of the purity of the mind. And that helps us to continue the journey for awakening and realization. We have been talking and understanding about the karma. We cannot escape karma. Every day in the morning, thought, speech, and action is all about karma. So when we are doing only karma, means thought, speech, and action, then we are caught in the web of a pain and pleasure. Pay attention, we are not doing karma yoga, we are doing only karma. So every day, with every thought and speech and action, we are caught in the web of the karma, the cause and effect relationship. But the moment you have started karma yoga, you are ready to transcend the laws of karma. We do not have a luxury to escape any karma. We have to think, we have to speak, we have to act. So we have already understood. So what happens? It helps us to refine and shine your personal, your professional, your social, your family life. It changes. But if it is not changing, then your inner personality, intellectual understanding is not being realized in day-to-day life. So that you have to check and you have to recheck. Don't disturb me, I'm meditating. It is not karma yoga. Maybe at your home. So from where this thought has come, don't disturb me. That thought has come from the karma. You don't want to change. You want to change others. You want to brag that I'm meditating. So when I'm meditating, nobody is allowed to disturb. You will never get out of those disturbances in your life. It is all karma. Just think, contemplate. And that is why for a couple of weeks I have been asking how many times you were upset, anxious since the last session. So that indicates that, my mind moved to the karma. I did not apply the principles of the karma. It will happen. It is natural. The moment we commit mistake, correct it. Why we don't correct it? We have a big ego. Moving from fully busy to carefree, always be comfortable, working. You are working tirelessly. You continue working in your profession. Who says don't work? But internally, you have applied the karma yoga. Wrong notions about people near you are gone. You build a relationship that is long lasting. We may get upset. It's natural for the mind, but the moment we get upset, we go back, we apply the karma yoga, the upset is gone. And so what happens? We start living in a higher level of awareness about ourselves, about in the world outside, in our relationship. We pick up the thread of pain and pleasure, duality and a conflict, and we get rid of it instantly. So we don't allow to accumulate those impressions. Very important part of the karma yoga. So you are ever ready to correct your mistakes. Another changes that comes by the practice of karma yoga, that sense of laziness and the craziness dissolves. People near you notices the change. Now don't start asking, don't you feel the change in me? Wait. Let the other people say, yes, you are changing. Don't you see I've been doing meditation for the last 2 to 3 years and you don't see the change? Oh, it means you are crazy. No, you are. You are crazy. That works in professional life. That works in the life of karma. That does not work in the life of karma. You have to keep on doing. Let the people notice the change. Let the people express it and take it in a natural way. Another part that I wanted to talk about it, in karma, the mind works like a pendulum. Pain, I want to escape the pain, I move to the pleasure. From the pleasure, again after some time, it goes to pain, sorrow, happiness. Huh? We we get upset, we say sorry, we get upset again. We say sorry, and this journey continues. This is what is known as the cycle of birth and the death. This is known as the samsara according to the Buddha. That we keep on repeating the same thing again and again without any noticeable change in our behavior and attitude. So, mind works like a pendulum in karma, but the mind becomes steady in the middle when we follow the path of karma yoga. Lot of changes comes in our behavior, in our attitude, in our response to the people. I'm not saying, we commit mistakes. Let it be done. But you become aware, you bring about a change, and you see, because you are bypassing the law of karma, so it is in the mind that the peace and the love and the care that works behind every thought, speech, and action. And that makes us a great seeker. And a seeker never fails in the journey. So now, again, to bring it back, the same discussion, why even after intellectual understanding about our real self, we do not reach to that state of awakening and realization. It has three main challenges. The first challenge is the impurity of the mind. Mind is impulsive, habitual, created millions of the thought pattern and impression. It continues the circle and that. So how to remove that impurity? By karma yoga. You may understand everything you study, you read every text of this Eastern wisdom, but if you do not apply the karma yoga in your life, the impurities of the mind will never be removed. Because when I am thinking, the way I think, the way I speak, the way I act, mind starts realizing that knowledge. I have already discussed a lot. So this is one challenge, that is the reason we do not reach to the, or simple way, the pendulum working of the mind. Second problem is the distractions. So don't take the word, the definition of the word from modern psychology. That distraction is known as a projection. We keep on projecting. The mind projects. You have already projected me as a teacher. See that? We projected people as a husband, wife, friend, enemy. That projection do not allow the mind to be aware of that real self. What should be done? So we are starting a new topic, upasana. Those projections and distractions can be removed by the principle and practice of upasana. We will understand. So now see the entire clarity. So we are living in ignorance. The mind has three big challenges. One is the impurity. So once we understand, we can bypass the law of karma by practicing karma yoga. At the same time, we will purify our mind. So we can find out a lot of changes that is taking place in our daily life. You never get upset. You refuse to be miserable. I would say that is the result of karma. Who doesn't have a problem in life? Who doesn't have a challenges in the life? Quantity, quality, intensity of the challenges may vary. So you see that those karma yoga, you remain calm and relaxed, dispassionate. But the second problem, the projections cannot go away so easily. And that projection causes lot of limitations in our mind. The limitations causes the mind to return to work like a pendulum. Did you see that understanding? Because of those projections, the mind returns to act like a pendulum. We lose karma yoga, we start engaging ourselves into the karma. So once these projections can be totally destroyed from the mind, how it can be done? By upasana. So once these two are done for the mind, then what happens? You simply listen and learn from a teacher. Your mind has no projection, it has no impurity. The mind absorbs the knowledge and you find the real self. So that is the three challenges. Three challenges. So now coming to what is upasana, an introduction to the upasana. The word, Sanskrit word, upasana. The word, Sanskrit word means sitting nearby at home, sitting nearby either the teacher or the real self. But I don't know the real self. But sitting near the teacher means, is the teacher at the physical level? No, at the mental and the emotional level. I will take up you slowly one by. There is another way to understand this upasana. Any object, any image, any mantra that is written in the text of Eastern wisdom can help us to remove these projections of the mind. So what is going to happen? The mind, when we practice upasana, there is a sense of emotional freedom. Every day you wake up. You wake up with an awareness of the infinite consciousness inside. As if you are not limited by the body, the mind, and the thoughts. You realize this mind is not swinging like a pendulum, and this mind acts like a mirror. Mirror perceives the image of the real self. You have a glimpse of it, and instantly your dispassion helps you to recognize the image is perceived in the mirror is unreal. Here I am the real self. So once that projection is gone, and that has a big problem. Anytime we wake up in the morning, we are talking about the money, the mind projects. I have $1 million, I'll be happy. It has already projected. Look at this beautiful girl. Projection is done. Do you realize the challenges of the projection? The moment you wake up in the morning, there are millions of projections. that continues working at the subconscious level. Now, one important thing. Take an example. When we get attached by love at first sight, what happens? What happens? Mind keeps on repeating how he or she is my soulmate. You see that? You are attracted by the first sight. We say that. What is that? Love at first sight. Yeah. Love at first sight. Basically, it is attachment. But pay attention what happens. So attachment at a first sight, and then what happens? Mind keeps on repeating about that person, my soulmate. I love you. The person is not in front of me, but mind is repeating. Have you ever experienced that? I have experienced, I must admit. Anesthesia. So mind keeps on repeating my soulmate, I love you. Image appears in the mind again and again. Image of that person with whom we say love at first sight appears again and again. Is it attachment? Yes. Intense attachment is what is, we know, we call it as we fell in love. Falling in love. That is what happens in dating, soulmate, intense attachment, fall in love. We are talking about upasana. I'm just giving you one example, and then we will go a little deeper. So what happens in I call it attachment at first sight. You may call it love at first sight for the sake of understanding. In that process, first what happens? We don't know from where the idea or a feeling of attraction comes to the mind. Clear? We don't know. We don't. So that is attachment. Then after that, we start thinking about that person. So thinking is taking place in the mind. So it is being repeated. So by a lot of thinking, the mind at the habitual and impulsive level, it starts saying soulmate. So even if that person is not in front of you, but your mind imagines. Yeah? Did it happen to you ever? No, don't tell me before your dad you so. No, I can ask the dad, did it happen to you? So yeah, it happens to almost everyone. So you see that image, thinking, and a sense of attachment. Again, we will understand it step by step. It's such a wonderful concept and a principle that we use this attachment, all the factors, what the mind does in falling in love, we do the same thing to rise in love. That is upasana. It happened almost when I was 20, 21 years old. But after few years when I went to my master, then I had the same upasana with my master. So now see, understand. Are you understanding the three factors in this so-called fall in love? One is the object of attachment, whether it's a car or a person or a clothes, anything. Object of attachment. We call it as a soulmate. Few seconds before, nothing was there. And suddenly, soulmate. Few seconds before, person was not a soulmate, but now soulmate. So first is the object of attachment. Well, object may be a car or a person. Second factor is the thought associated with the feeling. Who will love this beard guy? So you don't have any kind of attachment to this beard guy. He has already become old. So thought and the feeling associated with that object, right? That is the second factor, and it's repetition. Tell me, what is the location of that attachment is happening? Just check. The location we find inside the heart. Somewhere we find. What are the three factors? Keep on it, just be very clear about it. First is object. When we say object, means anything that is different and separate from me. Whether it's a person or a car or a cloth or a computer, we can be attached to anything. We like it. So that attachment comes because of the sudden spur of an attraction in the mind. We don't know from where the attraction has come. Second is that moment the attraction takes place, we start thinking about it. Mind keeps on thinking about it. And when you think, it gets associated with the feeling about that object and you constantly repeat it. So because that person and object is not present in front of you, so in the attachment, in falling in love, we say, you are very near to me. You are very close to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? You might have said to a lot of people, you're very close to me. Why you are exposing us? No, I'm not exposing. We are trying to understand the principle of upasana. Location. What is the location of your soulmate? You can ask anyone who has fallen in love. They say, my heart. He or she is very near to my heart. Really? Near to your heart that pumps the blood? What he has or she has to do with watching pumping of the blood, that we do not understand. Be 100% clear. We are removing that projection. You see, by understanding this. So now think of this. Remember the three factors, I'm repeating it again. Object, then the thoughts associated with the feeling, and the location. If one is soulmate, you don't say he or she is very near to my knees. The mind goes to the heart only. But what is that heart? That heart is nothing but the mind. And what happens in the projection, that now you see that he or she is very near to my heart, but he or she is resting, if in one-sided love, so-called one-sided attachment. He or she is enjoying. There are a lot of factors. So I'm just giving you have to think of these three factors: the object of attachment, thoughts, feeling associated. So those thoughts and the feeling creates an image about that person into your heart. That is why he or she is very near to your heart. Did you get it? That is known as emotional dependence, and the emotional dependence causes the delusion, and that destroys our life. No, keep on loving someone, falling in love. I have no problem, but I'm just explaining. Did you understand? Now we went into the root of that emotional dependence. But what it has to do with upasana? You use the same three factors for, if you are a primary level of a seeker, you create all the three factors towards a teacher, towards a mantra, towards any image. That is why we have 330 million gods and goddesses. Or, and in the last, you just use these three factors to be attached to the real self. Instead of, don't tell your honey, but just create. Why? Because now the Jerry sees that real self in David, and David sees the real self in Jerry. Problem is done. We use the negative factors of the mind to evolve, to rise in consciousness. Think of it. We will work on it. Close your eyes.